Welcome to 5225, 52 Weeks of Loving Movies, week 16, where we're talking about stage musicals. Technically, the theme is stage plays and musicals, but I only watched stage musicals, unfortunately, and I'll get to that in a moment. But first of all, I need to do a little bit of housekeeping here, and and kind of a sad note. First, the housekeeping. If you've been watching this channel, if you're a follower of this channel, you'll have noticed that you haven't seen an episode of Camp Film Camp or Cinema Soapbox recently. And they are still here. They're still going to be going. It's been a very busy, hectic time in my life and my family's life. And so things have kind of gone to the wayside a little bit, but they will be returning in May. So if you've been looking for those, they're coming back. They're coming back in May, once a month for Camp Film Camp, as always promised. And I always promise 2 a month for Cinema Soapbox. For right now, I'm going to cut back that back down to once a month at least. If I need to release some, then another one, or if I have one that needs to be released within a month, or I've already had one released, then yeah, I can go with that. But for right now, once a month on both of those. There's also all-time top 5 will be coming back, so don't worry about that either. So just know, in May, you will be getting all 3 of those shows. Don't worry, if you were. Now on to a sadder note. This has been a really hard time for my family. As I mentioned, we've been very, very busy. I mentioned a couple weeks ago that we were having that there was a, issue, medical issue happening in the family. And I want to kind of address that right now. Everyone in my immediate family is fine. My wife, kids, they're all fine. So don't worry about that. But my mother-in-law, my wife's mother, did pass away earlier this week on Wednesday. And it's been hard for her and for her family, her side of the family. She's been ill for a while. She had dementia, so they kind of started losing her a long time ago, but it's been very difficult for her. And so that's kind of what's been a big part of what's been keeping things a little harder right now here on the channel. And so that's been going on. We have been preparing for memorial service, and it's hard because they live 5 hours away, and so my wife has been having to travel back and forth to kind of handle things, and so it's been rough, but we are doing okay right now. The other thing I want to mention, it's just because we're talking about this, is that this week is doubly hard for me and my wife because this upcoming Monday, the 28th, is the 6-year anniversary, I guess you would say, of my mother's passing. She passed away unexpectedly while she was here visiting us, and it has been very, very difficult for me still, even 6 years later. And I know grieving is weird, and some things are easier than others, and there's no rule on how one should grieve. Sometimes I grieve like it was yesterday, and it's tough, but sometimes I'm okay. All that to say, it's kind of a tough time at our house right now, and so if I could get all my viewers here to join me in just a quick moment of silence for Fran Hubbard, my wife's mother, and Cindy Carr, my mother, and just join me in a moment of silence for that. Also, if you have any relatives that or loved ones that have passed recently, please uh, join me in this moment of silence as well for them. If you have anybody who it wasn't recent and you're still feeling that loss, join me in this moment of silence. Okay, so on to the more fun stuff, because that was not fun. But I felt the need to address it, honor them today in some way that I could. So as I mentioned, this is week 16, stage plays slash musicals, pro shots. I wasn't going to watch anything that I had to get a bootleg guy in the up in the balcony with his camera, any of that. I wasn't going to watch any of that. So I watched them. I intended to watch a lot more. I wanted to get some plays in, some non-musical plays in, but by the time that as I mentioned, it's been very busy and I didn't get around to it. I wanted it to have a lot on here and do a video where I told you I wanted to keep it short, but of course it was going to be far too long. Um, but that didn't happen. I watched four, and let's start with the very first one, which is 2021's Come From Away. Now, I saw this when most people did, when Apple Plus dropped it, uh, in 2021, kind of as a bit of a COVID relief for a lot of us, because we hadn't been able to get to see any live performances or anything like that for a while due to COVID-19. And so they dropped this, and it was just a nice welcome experience for a lot of people. And rewatching it this time, I still absolutely loved it. I loved it the first time. I love it this time. There's something, as someone who lived through what happened on 9/11. I mean, I wasn't there, obviously. I experienced it with the rest of the world who were alive and cognizant at the time. And that was a really, really tough day and few days. Actually, one of my classmates was in a car accident the day after and passed away. And so that whole week was just really tough for my neck of the woods. I went to a small school, 23 kids in my graduating class. So it was obviously we all knew each other very well, and so that was really tough. But so that was a tough week for me, and it's very interesting knowing that it was a tough week for me and the people that I know. Seeing a tough week for these other people and kind of what happened there, and of course, I'm sure that, there's some liberties taken, with this to make it palatable for the stage and to make it, of course, entertaining story. But from all accounts, this is a pretty good account of how it happened there. And if you don't know what Come From Away is, it's about on 9/11, after the terror attacks, all the planes got grounded, and basically the only stop for people who were coming overseas was this small um, town that really its main purpose was before jets could hold more fuel. This was the stopping point where people would come, where planes would stop if they were going over the Atlantic to fill up and then go on to their destination. And so just a bunch of planes had to land at this airport and in this small town, and how this town banded together and got them all housed and fed and clothed, and and how they took this tragedy and this thing, and they didn't despair. They rose up and they made the world just a little bit better on a during a really, really tough time in our history. It's a celebration of the human spirit, and it's something I absolutely love. Now, as I mentioned, it can't be 100% accurate. Some people do have an issue with that the way that it depicts Islamophobia, which I actually take a little bit of umbrage with, because I think they address it as well as you can in a story of this length that isn't focusing directly on that, because there is some in this. They show that up front, and yes, there's a happy ending with that with that portion of the story, and it wasn't a happy ending for a lot of people, and that's why when I think back to 9/11, I think about uh, some of the worst instincts that a lot of people had. I think about that terrible day, and all the lives that were lost, and a lot of people will kind of talk about the people, the people on the citizens of the United States, and how we banded together, and how it was all about love, and that's true for a lot of white people, and but it's not true for a lot of marginalized people who were not trusted, who were treated poorly, and I think that it is important to have the conversation. I don't think that this play necessarily bears that whole responsibility, especially since they did address it. So I don't take that criticism with this. I just think it's a beautiful celebration of the human spirit, and it really gets to me. And as a person who loves the idea of Canada, I've never been to Canada, but the person who loves the idea of Canada, the whole Canadian aspect of it was what really worked for me as well. But I am going to move on from Come From Away. We're going to move on to our next musical that I watched, which was Falsettos, which was filmed in 2017. Now, this was a rewatch for me as well. I had seen it originally, I don't know, a long time ago on Broadway HD, and then it's been a little while since I watched it, but recently the man who wrote the music and lyrics and co-wrote the book, William Fenn, passed away, and so I really wanted to watch it anyway. And this was coming. This was my the theme for this week, so I decided, hey, I'll go ahead and watch that as well. It's really a beautiful musical. I have jokingly and seriously, but only as a compliment, called it gay company, because there's a similarity. There are a lot of similarities between Company and Falsettos that kind of ring through, chiefly being a very unlikable protagonist. Bobby in Company and Marvin in Falsettos are just not likable people a lot of the time. And it's important that they're not likable, kind of for the story that they have, and it is a credit to the writing and the performances in this and Company that you can still be engaged with this character, both these characters, even though they are not really the best people. This Falsettos is about a man and his boyfriend, and also his ex-wife and his son, and his therapist, who ends up marrying his ex-wife. It also tackles the AIDS epidemic, because this originally came out in 1992, and it was a really hot topic for the theater community, because it almost felt like it was targeting, a lot of the people within the theater community, and as I mentioned, there are a lot of stories about this because it was an epidemic at the time. And this one, as I mentioned, is extremely beautiful. The songs are very good. The performances in this specific staging of it are all really, really good. The therapist Mendel, who throughout, I was like, gosh, this guy reminds me so much of Chip Zion, who is in one of my absolute favorite stage musicals, Into the Woods. He plays the baker in that. And I was like, gosh, he reminds me so much of this performance. Chip Zion could definitely play this. Turns out Chip Zion originated that role. So I was like, okay, I see that. It makes complete sense now. But another thing about it that I really like is that it uses a real kid throughout. I know a lot of plays will do that. If the musical is about a child, they will use real actual children for it. But a lot of times, if it's a supporting character like this, they'll get a young looking adult to play the child. And what I liked about this is that this kid is played by a child, and I think that's very important for this role because with an adult playing the child, it might be a good performance and you might be able to get everything you need out of it. But as a child, seeing a child perform this and go through a lot of what's going on in this, it makes the empathy for that child that much easier. It makes you feel for this kid because it is an actual kid right there in front of you. Plus, Jason is one of the best characters in this. I really love anytime he gets to be on stage, as well as his mother. His mother is also really great in this production. And Andrew Rannells plays Whizzer, who is the boyfriend of the main character Marvin. He's really great in it as well. Everybody in this production was really, really good. There's a bit at the end that I absolutely love because, as I mentioned, it does tackle the AIDS epidemic. And if you haven't seen Falsettos and plan to, skip ahead a little bit because I am going to do a little spoilerino for the ending. I'll put the time code to skip to here. At the end of this play, one of the characters does succumb to complications with AIDS and passes away. And a thing that I really love about what they did, and I don't know if this is every production. I've seen clips from other productions, and I don't know that it is because at the beginning of the show, there's this huge cube on screen, this block. And then they come out and they take this block apart that's just made up of a bunch of shapes, and those shapes become the chairs and the rest of the other stuff within a life. So basically, this cube is everything it takes to have a life. Is basically the idea of it. And they come out and put everything out. At the end of the show, they put it back together, back into this cube. But once they're done, they take out one piece because that cube is meant to be everything it takes to, live a life. But now that this character is gone, there is that piece missing. It's never going to be the life for these people anymore because that piece is missing from this representation of the cube and missing from their lives. I think that's just so fucking beautiful. It really got me when I watched it the first time, and then I'd forgotten about it. And when I saw it this time, I was like, oh my God, it's just such a really great moment and a beautiful sentiment, a beautiful idea within this musical. But I'm going to move on from this to my next one, which is a first time watch, the first of my first time watches here, and that is SpongeBob the Musical live on stage. Now I watched this with my kids, and they absolutely loved it. In fact, my 5-year-old Liam turned it back on the next day. But more importantly, did I like it? And yeah, I had a really great time with it. Now, it wasn't my favorite of any of these. It's probably gonna be my least favorite of these four. But there's something I really love about this, chiefly that the performances, the actors they got to play these roles, and the way that they made them, these sea creatures without having them be in suits that starfish or sponge suits, was really creative. The especially there are two that I especially really liked. One is Squidward, because they gave him these legs on the back of his own legs that kind of moved out, like the knee part of that moved out as he walked, and it made it really look like he had four legs. And I thought that was really cool. I mean, obviously it didn't really look like he had four legs, but it was a really cool way that they made that work. And the other one is Sandy, who in SpongeBob is a squirrel who lives underwater with them. And when she's outside of her little bubble, she wears this helmet to give her breath. And the actress who played her had this big round afro that represented that, which I thought was really clever as well. The music is really good in this. The as I mentioned, the performances are really good. The imagination that it took to turn this into a stage musical is just really cool. I especially liked how they included the person who made all the sounds, kind of in the play a little bit. Not much, but they kept referencing him and really gave credit to this kind of unsung hero of this cartoon turned stage musical. SpongeBob wasn't. I mean, I think I was in high school when it really got popular, and so I did watch some of it because it was entertaining, but it wasn't like I didn't grow up with it or anything. I was already past my children's cartoon phase at the time. But before I would get back into a children's cartoon phase, by the way. But at the time, I wasn't really into it. But so this wasn't really like for me, this thing, but I did really enjoy it. I had a really good time. It was lots of fun, and surprising how well it was executed. But I don't have a lot to say about it, just that it was a lot of fun and my kids loved it. So I'm going to move on from that to the last musical that I watched, which was Waitress the musical. Now, I had seen I believe it was 2007 film. I've seen it several times, but I remember seeing it when it first came out, and I loved it. I loved that movie. And to add a little bit of an emotional punch to it, when this came out, was that before the film premiered, the writer, director, and one of the co-stars, Adrienne Shelley, was murdered. And she was killed. And so it was kind of a bittersweet thing, is knowing that before going into the movie. And especially once you're watching the movie, and she's so good as Dawn. She really is one of the highlights of the film, which is why I was delighted that Dawn is one of the highlights of the musical as well. Not only that, but because Caitlin Houlihan is so good as Dawn, and she really just channels Adrienne Shelley's spirit into that role, it made it that much better and that much sadder that to watch, because she's incredible, and she really made Adrienne Shelley's presence felt. But the whole musical does that. It really honors the source material and pays honor to where it came from, and to Adrienne Shelley, which I think is incredible. In fact, the whole cast is really, really great. Sarah Bareilles, I believe that's how you said it. For years, I called her Sarah Bareilles, and I'm pretty sure it's just because I can't read good. Sarah Bareilles she owns the role in this performance. It makes sense because she did write the music. She wrote the songs. So it makes sense that she would kind of own that because it's probably really personal to her, which I absolutely love. But she completely owned this role. She was wonderful. Charity Angel Dawson was incredible. Drew Geeling, I think is how you say it, who played Dr. Pomatter, was great. And when you're taking over a role from Nathan Fillion, you've got to be charismatic. You've got to be able to, you got to be charming. And he absolutely was. And he was so funny in this role. Another really great performance that just really evoked the spirit of the original was Dakin Matthews, who played Joe, a role originated by Andy Griffith in the movie, and he really owned that role as well, and I thought it was a really nice tribute to Andy Griffith as well. Maybe not, maybe he didn't, maybe that wasn't his intention, was to be a tribute to Andy Griffith, but it felt like a nice tribute to Andy Griffith. But yeah, so I really, really liked this musical. I think the movie has so much of I have such a soft spot for the film that maybe it doesn't quite touch that for me, but I can see why it does for others. And it does. I mean, I loved it. Like, don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying that it wasn't good or that I didn't, that because I like the movie more, it changes how I feel about this. It doesn't. I think it's incredible. It's just the movie's a little bit more personal to me. So I do have that. But yeah, Waitress. If you haven't seen Waitress, I highly recommend it. Some of the subject matter is a little tough, and it could be a little tough to root for some of the characters sometimes. But you never stop feeling that empathy for the right people, and that is the important thing. I think that's what the movie gets right. I think that the play perfectly nails that as well. That's it. Those are the things I watched. Now let's talk about next week, because next week I'm talking about one that I'm very excited about, because I was supposed to do it earlier in this year, but I had to move it for something else. And I'm incredibly excited to finally get to this. Now, I know that this next week's going to be very busy for me, so hopefully I get around to watching a bunch of these movies. But who knows? Maybe it'll be a short one next week because I didn't watch very many. But I'm very excited to talk about movies about movies. I love movies that cover the industry or making movies or are about, that kind of their subject matter is movies, because I'm a movie guy. I'm a film fan. I'm a cinephile. That shouldn't be a surprise considering the channel you're watching. I am Matty, and I do love movies. And so I'm very excited to watch these. I know that people get cynical about movies that, the end of Hollywood just loves to get themselves off or whatever. Like, I don't care about that, because I love movies and I want to see movies about movies, and I want to see those things. And if they're great, I want them to win awards. That's it. So anyway, I'm going to watch some movies about movies. Tell me in the comments, what are some of your favorite movies about movies? Also be sure to subscribe and hit that like button. And if you don't have the notification bell, click it, because I'm releasing these every week. And as I mentioned, our flagship shows are coming back, so be sure to keep an eye on this page, hit that notification button. But what are some movies about movies that you love? What are some stage musicals that pro shots of stage musicals? Now, I don't want to hear about something that you went to Broadway to see and that the rest of us can't watch, because I don't want to know about those. I want to know what I can watch right now. And yeah, so let me know, what are some of your favorite stage musicals or stage plays that can be watched right now. Talk to me in the comments. Thanks.